Hello, guys. Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be with you today. And according to the topic that we are going to talk, that is crime against persons, I asked to Jessica, that is an expert on this topic, if she can tell us something about this. Okay, so Jessica, it's your time.
Hi everyone. So yeah, today I would like to talk to you a little bit more about crimes against persons. And so this this category includes things like murder, rape, assault, child abuse, and sexual harassment. And so these are crimes that are very common. The law enforcement, they see this very often, unfortunately. And so these violent crimes are are happening at very high rates. On average, there's at least one of these crimes happens every 20 to 30 seconds in the United States. And so what's unfortunate about this is that then that means that for the people in this country, the chances of being a victim are also very high. And so with one of those is homicide. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the different types of homicide that there are. So, for example, like one of them is non-criminal homicide. And so that is when someone has to kill someone because they are justified to do it. For example, like a soldier at war. If they kill someone at war, they're not gonna go to jail for it because it was what they had to do. And same with if someone works at a prison and they have to kill someone that was there for life in prison, that would be justified. But then we get into like first degree murder or first degree homicide. So that one is not excusable because that one is done with the intent of actually killing someone with without any excuse. And second degree murder would be if they killed someone but they didn't plan it out. So it was just something that kind of happened in the moment. And then there's felony murder. So this one is when maybe someone went into a store with the intent to just rob, but then they scared the cashier so much that they had a heart attack and died. So in that case, even though the person's intent wasn't to kill the cashier because they scared them so much, they would be charged with felony murder. And so another one is assault. And so with this, it's any attempt or threat to carry out a physical attack on another person. And so there's different types of assault, like there's just simple assault and aggravated assault and sexual assault. And depending on the circumstances and the intent, the severity of it is how the judge will decide what kind of course of action will have to be taken with that crime. And so that was just like a very brief explanation about some of these things. But do you have any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Will stalking fall into the category of crimes against persons?
Yeah, so that is actually something that we see a lot, especially, I mean, it can be the stalking or like cyber stalking. We see a lot of, this has to do, involves a lot of bullying too, whether that's on the internet or not. But a lot of people confuse stalking with simply being bothered by someone, like their presence or just receiving a text. But it is considered stalking when there's threat involved. So now that person isn't simply in your presence only or just near you. Like they're purposely trying to threaten you and deprive you of your privacy, and the messages that they're sending are obviously to cause harm.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I have a question too. What is the difference between manslaughter and self-defense?
Yeah, so with manslaughter, there was zero intent of causing harm, but because of careless actions, like maybe someone was driving too fast and it resulted in death, that is manslaughter. But in self-defense, someone is defending themselves because someone is actually trying to cause harm to them on purpose. So the difference between the two of them is intent.
Thank you.
I have a question too. Okay, how high or low is the risk of getting in jail if you end up like killing a man who had like like I don't know, a gun or a knife or something like that, who was going to like literally assault you, and you end up killing him, and then there's witnesses that saw you, that you basically end up unfortunately killing the man by self protection, but the family of the bad guy is trying to make the guy who defend himself to make him to go to jail. Like how risk or how low is the possibility that that person will end up in jail?
Yeah, so it all has to do with how much evidence they can come up with to prove that that's what happened. Because like in a courtroom, if you can't prove it, then unfortunately they can't really do anything about it. And that is a very sad part about society today, is there's a lot of people who are guilty but are classified as not guilty simply because some, like, the police couldn't find the evidence to prove it. And so yeah, there is a lot of injustice with that kind of stuff.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, I have a question. Is the last one, Mr.? Or I don't know. Okay. What are the statistics for domestic violence in the United States?
Well, there are several categories for domestic violence, but on average, 20 people per minute are physically abused by their partner.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much, Jessica, for this information. So we are so grateful with you. So you are free to go. Okay. Thank you so much for support us. Okay.
Thank you for having
Okay.
me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Nice to
Thank you
meet
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Well, now, so let me share my screen. Can you see it?
It's charging.
Not yet.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, guys. So, okay, so we are taking the topic of crimes against persons. So, let's start again with some of the glossary of vocabulary or terms that we are going to use to be a little more familiar with the topic, okay? Oops, sorry. Well, I'll give you the answer on the first one. trying to move. Sec. Well, I'll give you the answer. The first one, psychological crimes, crímenes psicológicos. So the second one, what means criminal prosecutor? You have an idea?
I think that is fiscal penal.
Exactly. Fiscal penal, yeah. And what about criminal defender? Any idea?
Defensor criminal.
Exactly, defensor criminal. So we have then sexual crimes. I think that is sounds familiar. Okay, it is delitos sexuales.
Delitos sexuales.
But what about aggravated homicide?
Homicidio agravado.
Homicidio agravado.
Exactly, homicidio agravado. And blameworthy?
Culpable.
Culpable. Yeah. And what about manslaughter?
Homicidio involuntario.
Exactly. Homicidio involuntario. So deadly situation.
Situación mortal.
Situación mortal.
Okay. Intoxicated.
Intoxicado.
Is
Intoxicado.
intoxicado.
Embriagado.
Embriagado. Yeah, when we have a situation, okay, when one person, you know, it is drive or this person is driving or is, I mean, like a situation or he is acting in a situation that you don't know what is exactly that is happening with this person, you only say, oh, probably the person is intoxicated because you don't know if the person is using drugs or alcohol or something else. Okay. Well, what about abortion?
Aborto.
Aborto, yeah, and infanticide.
Infanticidio.
Infanticidio.
Infanticidio and abandonment.
Abandono.
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 It is almost the same in exposure.
Exposición.
Yeah. What about inciting suicide?
Dando al suicidio.
Al suicidio.
Incitando suicide. And aiding suicide.
Ayudando al suicidio.
Ayudando al
Ayudar.
suicidio. Okay. Physical integrity.
Integridad física.
Integridad física. And bodily limb. What is bodily limb?
Extremidad del cuerpo.
Yeah, extremidad del cuerpo. Okay, body organ.
Órgano del cuerpo.
Órgano del cuerpo. Yeah, and minor offense.
Ofensa menor, creo.
No, altercation, I think that is the easy word. Altercado. Sounds really familiar too. A minor cut.
Sería como corte menor, ¿no?
Corte menor. And sharp object.
Objeto afilado. Objeto puntiagudo, ¿no? También.
Exactamente, así es. Exacto.
Okay.
Objeto afilado. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so, okay. Okay. Crimes against persons are those actions that constitute physical or psychological harm to the individual person. You choose to be a judge or a criminal prosecutor or defender, you will unfortunately be confronted with these crimes discussed on this title. Conceptually, this title can be separated into the broad of crimes of killing, Non-sexual crimes against a person's physical integrity, known in many countries as battery. Crimes against liberty and sex crimes. Killing, homicide is taking on another person's life and is punishable with 8 to 20 years imprisonment, according to Article 138. Remember, to commit homicide, one needs to both actually to throw and succeed in the act of killing another and had intent to do so. Homicide becomes aggravated homicide if the criminal commits the act under circumstances that are particularly reprehensible or blameworthy. Okay. Okay. Fernando, can you read for us this, please?
Do you want me to read?
Yes.
Okay, manslaughter. Any person who by negligence kills another person is punishable with up to 4 years imprisonment or a penalty of fine. 2, in cases where the perpetrator has acted with gross negligence, the same is punishable with up to 5 years imprisonment.
Exactly. Thank you, Fernando. For example, in any of these circumstances, the judge, okay, probably can give a more severe punishment if someone simply kill another person, for accident. But there is a difference for a person that do it like an out of a rage or using means that were not extreme. So manslaughter is the taking of another's life under circumstances of negligence. Okay. Whereas homicide requires intent to kill, manslaughter does not. Instead, a person is guilty of manslaughter in the individual choose actions so irresponsible that they created a daily situation. For example, suppose, okay, or imagine the captain of the Nakroma ferry became so intoxicated while piloting the ship that he fell asleep and the boat crashed into shore. If he crashed ashore and dead, the pilot could be considered guilty of manslaughter. Why? Because he was so intoxicated. Okay. I said again, we don't know the reason. Sometimes when we talk about intoxicated, we don't know if it is for alcohol or drugs, whatever. Okay. Okay. Another killing or another forms of killing could be abortion or infanticide or abandonment or exposure. Okay. Inciting suicide or aiding suicide. Okay. Well, Jimena, please, can you read this paragraph?
Yes, crimes against, I don't know how to pronounce this word, physical integrity. Well, for more common than acts,
It's
okay,
physical.
thank you.
Physical integrity.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Then acts that kill are acts that cause physical damage to another person's body or mind, but do not result in death. These can range from the severe, for example, depriving someone of an important organ or line, to a minor offense, such as slapping another person or participating in a fight or group altercation. One of the more common crimes under this title is Article 145, simple offenses against physical integrity. This is a kind of catch-all article that covers most minor crimes against another's body or mind. Imagine someone punches another person, throws and strikes another person with an object, or gives another person a minor cut with a sharp object. All of these would arguably, I don't know how to pronounce that word, fall under Article 145.
Thank you, Jimena. Okay,
You're
when
welcome.
we talk about physical integrity, we need to understand that physical damage could be different levels. For example, it's not the same when somebody take the organ or limb or somebody. Okay, it is different that, for example, the physical damage of sleeping is slapping another person. Okay, it is different. It's physical damage, but it's completely different the level. Or, for example, in an altercation with somebody, between the people. Okay, why? Michael, can you read for us the Article 145?
Yeah, sure. So, Penal Code Article 145. Simple offenses against physical integrity. Any person who causes harm to the body or health of another person is punishable with up to 3 years imprisonment or a fine. Prosecution depends on the filing of a complaint.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Michael. Well, now let's see about domestic abuse and child abuse. This title also covers what are commonly referred as crimes of domestic abuse, okay, and child abuse. Okay, according to Article 154, mistreatment of a spouse makes it a crime to mistreat one spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend that is cohabiting with the perpetrator. This prohibition includes both acts of physical aggression and acts that cause mental or cruel mistreatment. Okay. And according to the Article 155, misdemeanor of a minor includes similar provision for people under the age of 17. Okay. As well as additional provisions that prohibit subjecting minors to hazardous working conditions, to any form of slavery, or distributing pornography or narcotics to a minor. Each of the offenses described in the Article 155 are aggravated if the minor is the perpetrator's relative. Okay. Now, crimes against liberty. Dalia, can you read for us, please?
Yes, mister. Crimes against liberty. Crimes against liberty are those that deprive the victim of his or her human and constitutional right to live freely within the confines of the law. These crimes can, but do not need to, include acts that physically harm the victim. Instead, it is sufficient for the perpetrator to use threats of violence or other harm against the victim.
Okay. Thank you, Dalia. So, well, let's see the last part, sex crime. The final area we cover here is the sex crimes. According to Articles 171 to 182, these crimes are divided into three types: direct sexual coercion, sexual exploitation, and sexual abuse. Direct sexual coercion is the act of forcing another person against their will to engage in a sexual act. These acts could range from inappropriate sexual touching, for example. So it is important to know that act of rape includes not only anal or vaginal penetration, but also acts of oral coercion. Okay. Now let's talk about sexual exploitation. Tete, can you read this paragraph for us, please?
Oh, yes. Examples of sexual exploitation include observing another individual's nudity of sexual activity or allowing another to observe consensual sexual activity without the knowledge and consent of all parties involved. No, sorry, it's involved. Not consensual streaming of images, photographic, video or audio recording of sexual activity or nudity, or distribution of such without the knowledge and consent of all parties involved. Prostituting another individual, exposing another's genitals in not consensual circumstance, and knowingly exposing another individual to a sexually transmitted disease or virus without that individual's knowledge. Give me a moment. I can see inducing incapacitation for the purpose of making another, and I can see the following.
Okay, making another person vulnerable to non-consensual sexual activity. Thank you, Tete. Thank you. Okay, so the last part, sexual abuse. Wendy, can you read? Are you available to read? I don't know. Wendy's here. I think that she left. Well, Fernando, please. Oh, well, Dalia, please. Thank you.
Yes. Sexual abuse is sexual behavior or sexual act forced upon a woman, man, or child without their consent. Sexual abuse includes abuse of woman, man, or child by a man, woman, or child. Sexual abuse is an act of violence which the attacker uses against someone they perceive as weaker than them. It does not come from an uncontrollable sex drive, but is a crime committed deliberately with the goal of controlling and humiliating the victim.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dalia. This is one of the crimes that have serious consequences. Okay, especially for the reason that we read here. They say, when they, who's they? Who's they? Well, the person that is acting or that is abusing. Okay, okay. When they perceive these children, okay, that are as weaker than them. That's why this crime or the consequences of this crime is really severe. Usually the judges, okay, they're gonna act with a hard hand of them. Okay. Well, we have a little better view on this part, so just a little bit quickly. Okay, on the first one, title addresses those actions that constitute physical or psychological crimes against. Who had the answer?
Letter A, Mr.
Letter A.
Person.
an individual person. Okay. Number 2.
I have the number 2, and is the letter C, Mr. Resendiz.
Okay. Killing homicide. Killing homicide is the taking of another person's life and is punishable. Okay, with 8 to 20 years imprisonment. Thank you, Jimena. We have the number 3.
I do.
Okay, Michael?
Yep, it's letter B.
Letter B. Yep. To commit homicide, okay, one needs to actually go through one succeed in the act of killing another and have intent to do so. Okay. We have 3 more questions. Who can help us with number 4?
I think is a letter C.
Okay.
Aggravate homicide.
Yeah, homicide becomes aggravated homicide if the criminal commits the act under circumstances that are particularly reprehensible or blameworthy. Okay, Dalia, you have number 5. Dalia. Oops, I think that she's not here. Well, Fernando?
Yes, letter A,
Letter A.
manslaughter.
Manslaughter is the taking of another's life under the circumstances of negligence. Thank you, Fernando. And finally, Jimena, please.
I have the next one. Is the letter A, homicide requires intent to kill?
Exactly. Homicide requires intent to kill. Okay. Well, thank you guys. So that's all for today. It was an interesting class. So I'll see you on next class. Okay, I'll see you next week. Okay, guys, have a good night.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.